Why not let spellcasters have access to every single spell? Why not let spellcasters choose which one of the 3 mental stats that they cast their spells with? Why not? It's such a cool flavor option, and I don't think it will break the game. Okay, so here's my rant on this is first of all, the spells. I don't think, first of all, that you should be able to have all spells, access to every single one of them. At any class you pick, you'd have access to every single spell. That's a little crazy. There's a little bit of, there's some utility, there's some specificness, there's some usefulness of having the themes and stuff be in different ones. Like Sorcerer's spell list is much different than the Druid one, but the Druid one kind of can get bogged down with concentration spells and stuff like that. So what's really cool is I've given my option to the players is if you want to make a bard that's more damage in focus, it's like a rock and roll metal bard that wants to shoot out fire and stuff, then why not pick a bard, but let it only restrict it to Sorcerer's spell list, right? Now I know it's going to be a limited spell list, and oh my goodness, bards have, then don't do that, right? Have the spell list that you want. Another thing, I'll use a bard for an example again. I've seen a bard that wanted to be more of inspirational and more religious, so there's a bard with a cleric spell list. Totally fine and awesome, cool, do that. What if you want to do a sorcerer that has this embedded magic in them, but they want to be a little bit more abjurative or other things like that? So let them use the wizard spell list. And if you start freaking out and like, oh, this is too broken, this is too crazy, just give the players options to do stuff. You know what I mean? If a player is really wanting to play a certain way and use certain spells and they have this vision, let them do that. Put some restrictions on it so that's not just like, oh, you can use every spell. But I'd even say if you had a player that was really wanting to use a certain spell that wasn't on the spell list, have them go on a journey of some kind, have them go on a quest of some kind, or have to be able to figure out, and the player, challenge the player. How would you be able to learn that spell? Like, what would you have to do? Well, are you a sorcerer and you have to really push yourself to the limits to be able to do this thing? Or you have to really find the right book to learn a spell that's not in the wizard's spell book? Oh my gosh, is that even possible? Like, do you have to multi-class into cleric to be able to tap into that divine magic to be able to learn that? Like, there's some really cool stuff that you can do there. And I know I threw out another bomb there of, the spell casting modifiers. What if you want to have a warlock with intelligence as their spell casting modifier? That's crazy. You can't do that. Everyone has to have charisma for sorcerers, charisma for warlocks. Why? There is not a reason that you could tell me that would stop a creative decision of what you want to have behind your character as their spellcasting modifier. There's just not. If you want to, now I understand that, like, a wizard though is smart and they use their intelligence to cast. I get it. But here's stay with me on this. Whenever you create your character and you want to role play your character and you want to have like wisdom, they're perceptive and they're very with it, and they got some street smarts or intelligence. They're really smart and they know about stuff and all that kind of thing. Charisma, the power of will and their personality, and they're good at talking to others and all that kind of stuff. Let them choose what they want to be. Why do all sorcerers have to have charisma? Now, yes, I know you can role play charisma in a different way, and you don't have to have it be like, you can have it be that they're very attractive, but they're really bad with people. And like, you can come up with stuff, but why restrict them to that stat? Okay. So if you want to have a really smart sorcerer, like there's someone that's really, really smart and they're trying to figure out how to control this magic that's inside of them. That's a very different person than a wizard that's trying to learn how to cast spells. Someone maybe has to, they have no idea what's going on with their body and all this magic that's inside of them. So they have to learn how to control it, and they have to use their smarts, how to control it, right? Or maybe they didn't have access to smarts. Maybe they aren't very charismatic and they want to role play as more of like a street smart, like urchin type street rat that has to like figure it out on their own. And they're wise and cunning and crafty, and they have to sorcery wisdom as their main stat. It doesn't matter. Let them be able to choose what stat they want, lock that in, and that's now their spellcasting modifier. It's super easy to homebrew. It's just done. That's their spellcasting modifier. That's their spell attack roll. That's their spell save DC. Let them choose, right? And now you really have opened up. Not like I haven't even broke the game in any way. You've opened it up to all these different options. And I'm sure you're going to have min-maxers out there be like, oh gosh, okay, if you got a wisdom-based sorcerer, they'd have wisdom and they have better perception checks. Okay, cool. And better at wisdom saving throws. Oh yeah, they'd be better at wisdom saving throws. And then they'd have a spell list. I want to do the wizard spell list. And like, okay, then don't let that player do it, or don't use that homebrew. But I think there's the amount of options and the amount of really awesome characters that you're going to let your players be able to create is so cool. So why not? Just go for it. Timeout. If you like all these crazy homebrew ideas I got, don't worry, I got a ton more. I make monthly PDFs called DC Playbooks, where it's a ton of homebrew ideas. I have a whole team. We make custom art, next level ideas that all pull together every single month. Each PDF has its own theme, and there's 3 different reward tiers to unlock more and more of it. You can become a patron in the links down below and get early access to all this stuff. And if there's anything you already missed, it's always going to be up on my website. I really do appreciate the support to help me create more and more stuff. Now let's get back. Hold up. I'm in the middle of a live stream and the chat's freaking out about, oh, what dexterity? What can you choose? Dexterity, constitution, strength? Whoa, that's crazy, right? That is, if I had somebody, the right kind of player, I might allow that. If you had a constitution-based caster, I think that'd be really cool for a sorcerer type situation where you use your constitution, your body, to cast spells. Crazy, right? And then they'd have really high health. So if they had really high health, oh, that's broken. They have really high, blah, blah, blah. Then I would give them some sort of negative to where like they lose hit dice whenever they cast a certain, if they cast their max level spell slot, they lose it. They lose the hit dice on top of everything else. Or other cool things, if you think it's too broken to give them any one of the physical traits, add in a negative homebrew thing that makes them have to, ooh, okay, maybe their maximum health reduces by a certain amount whenever they cast a certain whatever, right? So I think that's really interesting. A dexterity-based caster would be their hands, kind of like Avatar. They use specifically their hand motions and gestures to quickly move their hands to cast their spells, right? That's cool. That's a sweet, nimble, fast caster. That's really cool. I don't know. Now, again, if the player's choosing this as for dexterity, because my dexterity saving throws would be higher and I want to be able to break the game, I'm probably not going to give that player the green light for that. But if they're like, I really want to be like a beautiful, like nimble, you know what I mean? Okay, let's see what happens, right? I would not be necessarily opposed to it. I know that is crazy and more out there, and the further out there you get, the more of a certain type of player that have to be there to be able to respect and honor that you're out on a limb here in homebrew land a little far. And a strength-based caster is super cool. I've homebrewed a Geomancer class, and they have a little bit of constitution-based casting, strength-based casting, and they have to move the earth. That's the strong thing you got to do. Like, there's actually, like, how I kind of flavored it is they are literally moving the earth. It's like however far away from it, they're physically lifting it up out of the ground, but it's over there. You know what I'm saying? So they were strong, and I built that little section of the class around strength based, and they could punch and they could, you know, throw geo armor on themselves to give them temporary hit points. Anyway, but there's the part 2 of that.